2023 was my best financial year yet. Almost every stream of income that I have went up. My tech salary, collaborations and partnerships, digital products, but also there were a wealth of new opportunities like being paid to make content and flown out to South Africa, and also not being paid but still being flown to experience things in Las Vegas in terms of tech conferences. I want to share the things that allowed me to achieve these things this year and the mindset that was driving that, in the hopes that 2024 will be better for you and me. Hey, what's up? I'm Adam if you're new here, and if you're returning, then you know what's good. 2023 was a bit of a mixed year, right? There were mass layoffs in places like tech. There was some wage stagnations. There was trouble breaking into new markets, but there was also a lot of opportunities, right? Not everyone experienced 2023 financially in the same way. But in this video, I want to talk about money. I want to talk about making more of it and making it in a way that aligns with you, your interests, and your long-term goals. And taking some of those lessons that I learned this year, those things that made it such a successful year for me, and bring them into the new year and how we can actually go even further. So let's just get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is actually financial planning and putting a number to the goal that you're trying to achieve. One place that we get tripped up in is we don't actually know what it would take for us to achieve the things that we want, whether it is to buy a new car, put a down payment on a house, right? Travel the world, free up our time so we only have to work, say, 3 days a week so we can spend more time with our family or doing other things. But we don't actually know what it would take to get there. How much would I need to be making, saving, investing? I, for example, knew that I wanted to take a big step in 2024 that would reduce my security. But in order to do that, I needed to understand how much I needed to earn, how much I needed in my bank account, and then work backwards from there. And so I did just that. I calculated how much I would have to have in my bank account to feel safe to take this step. And that influenced so many things. It influenced the way I worked, right? The type of side hustles, the type of jobs that I took on the side. How I also spent my money changed because I had to keep in mind that I was saving or I was investing for this particular goal here, which meant I might not be able to spend on all of the things I want right now, or I might have to, increase my income in certain ways for me to get to this goal. But I had a number, and so I could work towards it. That you know there are things that you want to achieve, building a business, travel, putting money down to study. Put a number on it, work backwards from that number, and break down what it's going to take to get there. The next thing I want to talk about is all about understanding the market that you're within and being prepared to upskill. The thing is, nothing is stagnant. Industries, markets, companies, products, things aren't stagnant. And the moment they do become stagnant, including you, is the moment they are likely to be left behind. So I actually want to illustrate this with the tech industry and the tech market, just because that's where I am as a site reliability engineer myself. There has been a lot of change, right, over the last few years. And this year alone, the talk has been generative AI. But we've also seen this with cloud technologies, with blockchain technologies. The market and the industry is evolving. So it's important that you understand that. But if you're not tuned in to your market and the things that are changing, you won't know. You'll get left behind, which is why it's important to seek out information in a multitude of ways, right? Are you in LinkedIn? Are you following and engaging the people who are the thought leaders in this space, right? And understanding what, people are talking about this now. Oh, okay, I'm starting to see a lot of products being built around this particular technology. That may be something that I want to look into. And then you can use this information to decide where you're going to upskill. And this is already about simple supply and demand. If you're an early adopter of a technology that is evolving in your space or an idea, right, you become one of the first people to gain experience, clarity, and the background knowledge to use that particular technology, right? Which means now when people start to look for people who can they can employ or they can seek consultancy off of, or who are building products, you're already in the space. So the supply is low because there's not many of you, it's just kind of coming up now, but the demand for you is high. And that simple equation means that you are worth much more to the market at that moment. Now, that doesn't mean that you go chasing all of these things and any trend that flies by all the time, because that becomes counterintuitive and you're no longer a master of anything, right? And then you're not useful to the market. So good luck getting any more money with that. But you do have to keep an eye out on what's going on and how things are evolving. For example, you've probably seen me talk about generative AI on this channel here and there. And I'm also starting a course with AWS to understand machine learning and AI more. Like, I can see where things are going and I don't want to be left behind. And I know that with these skills behind me and the experiences and building, like I've built projects with AI, I can leverage these skills in the market. And so with that being said, whatever industry you're in, whether you're an employee, whether you're a business owner, whether you're self-employed offering services and products, think about the market that you're in and how you can keep up to date with what is going on. So the next thing is actually synergy and diversification. I know a lot of people online bang on about multiple streams of income, but it's because it's a really important component of a portfolio or a sense of financial security that can't be shaken too easily. All right, like you lose your job, you've got one stream of income, you're done. Or you don't get a sponsorship this month, but you have no other streams of income, you're done. However, having multiple streams of income that are very disconnected can actually just end up causing more problems. And here's how. Imagine I have a day job and I'm a chef. I've been a chef for maybe 5 years, but I also have an Instagram page where I flip trainers. And on my YouTube channel, I talk about renovating houses. You can start to see how it'd be very hard without really a thread between these in order to become an expert or build authority in any single one of these if my time, my energy is split across them all and there is no synergy between them. The thing about having commonalities or synergy between your streams of income is, one, you can leverage the experience and the years that you've already been working on something. Say there is alignment with the job that you've been doing for years. Also, like I said, you can build authority quicker because you are across multiple platforms, offering multiple services, offering multiple products in the same space. And people can see you, they see your face, they see you talking about things and providing things of value. You start to build authority, and a lot quicker than if I was trying to do all of these at once. And also, going back to what we're talking about understanding your market, you don't have to focus then on 3 different markets or 4 different markets and what's going on in each of them and trying to stay up to date in each single market. That would be crazy, right? Like, I need to understand what's going on with cooking, ingredients, even restaurants and the chef world. Also, I have to understand what's going on with the trainers, the trends, music, and all the things that go into that. And then also I'm going to be doing about renovating the newest tools and the newest trends. You can start to see how that's just really, really difficult. And if I go back to my own life and how I've built my streams of income, I center them largely around 2 things: personal development and tech. Those are the things that I have the most experience on. I've been talking and researching and interested in personal development, I would argue, my whole life, or from the time I knew what it was. And I've been talking about it for over 4 years on YouTube. Tech, I've been in the tech space for almost 4 years as well, right? I've been an SRE for years. So you can start to see that I can leverage these experiences and the knowledge that I have been acquiring in order to provide value in other ways. If I then start saying, oh, you know, I like painting, like, you know, little flex on my little paintings that I do now. I'm going to start doing a painting course. I also like ice skating sometimes. So, you know, I'm going to start selling ice skates, custom ice skates. You can start to see how that would just be a mess. Right? That wouldn't make sense for diversifying in a synergistic way. Just because you're going to have your pillars, you know, the things that you center your expertise around, that doesn't mean you don't layer other skills on top of them and other interests. For example, I don't make videos or products or services about how to start a YouTube channel, but I know how to make YouTube videos. I've been doing it for years, and I use it in my business in other ways, right? To make content, to inform people about things that I'm working on, right? Or things that I have to offer. I can use those skills and my interest and my passion for creating content in multiple ways. Ultimately, you have to remember that making money is about solving other people's problems. It is about providing value to others. It's not about you, it's about other people. And therefore, if your multiple streams of income start to take away from what you can provide to others, you might want to draw it back down, right? And start to think about how you can diversify in a way that is synergistic. I actually don't know if synergistic is a word, but I've said it so many times now that we have to go with it. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that a lot of us are underpaid. We are not charging enough for our time, our talents, our skills, our experiences. And I want to talk about this in kind of 2 ways. Okay, so let's start off with the employee route. The biggest salary increases that I've personally got have come from changing jobs. I'm talking like 5-figure changes in salary. And that's not to say that, you know, in this climate here where things are a bit shaky, I'm saying everybody just go out, leave their jobs and go, you know, hope for the best. That wouldn't be a very smart move to make. However, you have to be conscious of the options that you have if you feel like you are not being valued and you're not being compensated fairly. For example, if you are an experienced employee, whether you're, like I said, an accountant, you're an engineer, you're a chef, whatever it is, and you know that you are now operating at a level that you weren't when you initially signed for this particular salary or the pay that you are getting, it's time to start exploring what you should be getting, what the market says that you really should be getting with all of your responsibilities, and start working from there, right? Collecting the information and the data on the work that you're doing at your workplace. Right? If you know that since you've been there has been an increase in the number of sales, right? Or an increase in the number of lines of code, like productive lines of code that is produced, and all those things, you need to start collecting that data. If you know that you are actually training other people now and you weren't doing that before, You need to start making notes about that. How many people have you trained, right? How are they doing now? Collect that data on your performance. But whilst you're doing that, before you go to your manager, you also need to be seeing in the market, what are people who do what I do being paid? And you don't want to just look at the role. Like, yes, I'm a software developer or I'm whatever, and they get paid this. Look at the responsibilities. You may actually be working as senior or a lead, right? Like the work that you're doing is actually somewhere else. And so you need to start looking at the salaries that align with that. And also start to think about the job market itself. Are there a lot of jobs out there? Is there a lot of demand for you? Because that's going to feed into how much you are worth as well. With that skill, with that experience, and the demand that is out there, perhaps you should be asking for a lot more. So there's a whole series of things to think about, I think, when you are moving for financial reasons. And it's not the only reason to move. If you are very happy where you are, and the new job that you're going to apply for potentially or get is $5,000 more, is that enough of a dent to potentially leave a place that you are very happy in? So it's a holistic picture, but the point that I'm trying to make is that in order to get more money and ask for more money from the market or from your current employer, you need to understand where you're positioned and move from there. The data-driven decisions thing that I always talk about. So the next side of the coin is the self-employed business owner side. And this is where I think things can even become more complex, because there's a lot less transparency about how much people are paying for things like content creators and so forth. But despite the fact that this was my best year financially in terms of my side hustles, I also realized that I probably could have been paid at least double what I was this year, if not more. And it's not the fault of those that I was interacting with, but me not understanding my value and not understanding what I was bringing to the table. And you may very much feel the same with the things that you have been offering and putting out in 2023 versus what you want to be doing in 2024. And I'm going to illustrate this with my content creation sponsorships just for the sake of having like a common example that we can latch onto. But like I said, it can apply to lots of things. I was not audacious and not confident in what it is that I was putting forward. And it's because I was valuing myself based on arbitrary numbers, or let's not say arbitrary, but single numbers that did not paint the whole picture, like my follower count or my views on certain types of videos. Instead of looking at what I brought to a brand or to a partnership holistically, like things like the quality of the content that I create and the quality of my execution, the way that I show up on camera, my camera presence, the way I discuss ideas and talk through opportunities, I wasn't really weighting that as heavily as I should have. I also wasn't weighting my brand and the brand that I have spent years creating, right? That should have been a bigger factor when I was putting these prices across. There's also the fact of the investment that I put in, like the long-term investment of, say, me making content for years. Like I didn't just wake up one day and get good at making content, right? Or on whatever platform it is, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, like I have been working on this for years. It's something that I've invested hours, days, weeks, months, years into. That also should be factored in. Also in the equipment, like I've invested in cameras and mics and, my computers and things like that allow this to happen. Software, are you factoring any of that in? But also training and education. For example, I invested in a YouTube course, was it last year? I can't remember the exact year. So I can understand a little bit more about the YouTube ecosystem and doing well on YouTube and how you can be more effective as a communicator. All of these things have to be considered when you are creating a partnership or you are engaging in a partnership with somebody else or with an organization. Perhaps you are an accountant. I seem to really like this accountant and chef example, but if you are an accountant and you're offering services via your business that you've created, like it's not just about what you're going to do in a few hours. It's the hours, days, weeks, years of experience and learning that got you to the point where you could even do that. Right, it's about any of the resources, any of the tools, any of the software that you use to execute that task, right? It's about the time, it's about all of these things that you need to think about. It's your brand. It's about why should they trust you? Maybe perhaps you've been a thought leader in this particular space. And what is the additional cost of that? Think about all of these things, and that is the value that you are bringing. The circling back is about value. And so if in 2024, we're thinking about making more, we're thinking about putting ourselves out there more, we need to be more audacious. We need to back ourselves a lot more when it comes to pricing. And I know this is particularly hard for women who are a little bit, don't want to talk about it, versus when I hear men talk about, yeah, I asked for that much. That's how much I was worth. I remember hearing somebody say, yeah, I asked for this many figures for my YouTube brand or my YouTube partnership or, to make this content. I was like, oh, you did. And I just think we have to be a little bit more open and transparent when we talk about money so that we can learn from each other. And the final thing I want to get into actually is that sharing and learning and building online in public so that others can see what you're doing and so that you can see what others are doing. This single-handedly, this thing right here is the reason why I've been able to build multiple streams of income and get opportunities that I wouldn't have if I wasn't out there showing people what I was interested in and, you know, talking about my ideas and talking about the things that I wanted to get involved in. If people don't know I exist and that I'm interested in these things, how can they ever, you know, engage? How can we ever engage with each other and move each other forward? Perhaps I have value that I'm sitting on that you might need in order to execute something. Well, you don't know that because I'm not there. I haven't spoken up. So you could never use my value and I could never really tap into yours. It also circles back to the fourth type of luck, which I spoke about in my Renaissance video as well, which is this idea that luck can be kind of broken down into 4 different types. But the one that I'm most interested in is that luck that you kind of create and generate by putting yourself out there, but specifically in spaces that align with what you're trying to achieve. So if you're trying to be someone in the tech space or the content creation space, right? You put yourself out there, you go to events, or you put yourself out there on online spaces, right? You enter these communities on LinkedIn, on TikTok, whatever it is, and you show up and suddenly people know that you exist in the right spaces. Suddenly you start to get really lucky all the time. Like, oh my God, this opportunity came through. You know, this opportunity was put on my table. Just from speaking about things that I've done and that I'm interested in, I've had my brands and my sponsorships. I've also had new job opportunities, like people reach out to me about jobs, things that I may be interested in at their companies, right? But also I have gained mentors and friendships and people in the spaces that I didn't know before, right? But because I was out there and speaking about these things, we've been able to connect over a shared interest, over a bond that we have, or in ways that they're able to teach me and that I can learn from them from their years of experience, right? Perhaps they've got 20 years on me and now I can learn from all of the things that they have. And it's something that we probably need to lean on a little bit more. The reality is that every year I realize that there is an insane amount of money in circulation, right, in this world. Like the more that I interact with people, I learn what they are earning, I learn what their companies are creating, I learn how much VCs are investing in companies. I'm like, wow, there's a lot going on. But your ability to tap into that is very much linked to your interest, your ability and desire to upskill, but also to share, to learn, and to communicate, and always come back down to value and the value that you are creating for others and yourself. I actually think a lot of what I've spoken about will hit home more if you check out this video here that I did on the Renaissance mindset and the Renaissance woman, right? And this layering of ideas and skills and how it's not actually a bad thing, but also on the other side, having the audacity to take some of those steps to ask for more if you check out this video here. I will see you in the next one.